In this tutorial, we're going to talk about how to use mixed cell references. And this is the most complicated cell referencing that we're going to learn. So the example that we're going to use is to create a simple multiplication table. So let's go ahead and see how this plays out in this simple example. So here I want to create a multiplication table where I'm going to multiply each of these numbers by the corresponding header in the columns here. So I want to say this is going to be 10 times, so B6 times C5. And this is perfect. But of course, as I autofill this column, the numbers just get enormous, right? And so what's happening is that every time I go down, I'm incrementing the row because that's a relative reference. So I'm going to undo these. I'm going to undo this. And so let me look at what happens. So what do I want to happen here? I need for the row here to be locked. And so if I press F4 and I lock the C5, it appears that everything is okay when I go down, but watch what happens. When I go across, nothing changes because what I did by pressing F4 once was to make that an absolute reference, so it never increments. So I don't want to do that. Instead, what I want to do here, so let me go back, is I want to come back and say no. What I really want to do to the C5 is that I want the row, I always want to be pointing to, the top row of this table, which happens to be in row 5. And so I want the columns to increment as I move across, but I don't want the rows to increment as I go down. So if I go this way, now it looks like things go awry again. And so what's happened here? So what happened was that because I didn't do anything to the B6 here, it continued to increment. But I want this column to be the column that I'm always looking towards. Okay, so when I come back here, what I want to do is I want to say, so for this, I don't want to lock be an absolute reference, and I don't want to lock the row because as I go down, I want it to become B7 and B8. So I want to lock the B. Okay, so now let's take a look at what happens. As I go down, everything seems to be pointing to the correct row. And if I select, if I select the entire column and then autofill, drag across the entire table, I see that I have the correct values. And so for the rows where I have these numbers, I'm saying this column has to stay fixed. And for the numbers in the top row, I'm saying the row has to stay fixed. So row 5 and the column B for these guys. That's mixed cell referencing. We'll do many exercises so that you can become more familiar with this.